So, es ist 17 Uhr hier in Tokio. Wir freuen uns, dass wir um diese frühe Uhrzeit in Österreich trotzdem schon einige Teilnehmer haben. Herzlich willkommen zu unserem Webinar Japan Vorreiter in der Wasserstofflogistik. Mein Name ist Christina Schösser, ich bin die österreichische Wirtschaftsdelegierte hier in Tokio. Und das ist auch alles, was ich auf Deutsch sagen werde. Ich wechsle dann gleich auf Englisch, weil unser Experte, der dann später Ihnen die wirklichen wichtigen Inhalte liefern wird, spricht Englisch. Daher werden wir jetzt gleich auf Englisch switchen, damit er auch alles versteht. Thank you. Good afternoon here in Tokyo. Good morning in Vienna. Thanks for joining our webinar, Japan, a leading country, a pioneer in the fields of hydrogen logistics. Why did the Advantage Austria office in Tokyo, das Außenwirtschaftscenter, choose this topic? Japan has a leading role. It was the first country back in 2017 to come up with a hydrogen strategy. I mean, those of you who are in the field might have read about it. There was criticism about what kind of hydrogen did they use. Is it gray? Is it green? Is it blue hydrogen? And as well, the question about how the hydrogen is produced was sometimes an issue. But one has to admit that this starting point of Japan, that they had their first hydrogen strategy, made them not only a pioneer, but a leader. And many other countries only started their hydrogen strategy after Japan started it. And why is this now a very good moment for us to have this webinar, for you to learn more about the topic hydrogen policies and developments in Japan? Because just this year in June, the updated version of the hydrogen strategy has been published. Japan has the very high and ambitious goal of not only being a leader in hydrogen, they want to be a hydrogen society. I could now go on talking about details about the strategy, but one thing I would like to point out for our Austrian participants, there are many different goals and threats in this strategy, but one is Japan wants to build up, together with international partners, a complete supply chain for hydrogen. And there they know they have to work with international partners. So I think that's about for our participants from Austria, important and interesting. There are market opportunities. Japan is the leader when it comes to patents in the field of hydrogen, but apparently the industry is still lacking a bit the ability to use them and commercialize them. That's another option where Austria can be part of it. And we don't want to go too deep into geopolitics, but when we look at the topic, very often we look at Austria, Europe, Japan, and probably the US. But Japan has as well a Signalwirkung, now I'm looking for the English word, is leading the developments in Asia, Southeast Asia. Why? Because Japan and big Japanese companies are investing heavily in Southeast Asian countries, and they provide as well government funds, they provide development aid. So why do I point this out? Because whatever development happens in Japan, obviously there's cooperation potential for Europe, the US, Australia, they have already cooperation programs, but one has to bear in mind that whatever is developed here, which technologies, which leads, they might be as well taken up by countries in Southeast Asia. And this is as well a potential market for Austrian companies. So that's all from my side. I hand now over to my colleague, Ms. Rumi Onodera. She's the one who set up the entire webinar. She's our technology expert, our innovation expert here in our office in Tokyo. She will tell you a few more details about how this works technically, about the tool we're using, and she will introduce our expert. And one thing I forgot, this is very important for all of the participants, above all when there comes to Q&A session. This webinar is recorded. We won't need to point this out right now. So later on, there will be a few questions. There will be a Q&A session. So for all participants, please be aware the webinar is recorded. And anything else about how the recording will be used, distributed, about PowerPoints, questions, my colleague Rumi Onodera will introduce to you. I'm very interested and I'm looking forward to listening to what the expert has to say, not only about ships that are going between Australia and Japan. I heard as well something, there is a small scale trial to use algae for the production of hydrogen. So there are some attempts to make green hydrogen. Green steel is a big topic, and the Japanese industry, which relies heavily on export of products like machines, tools, cars, they will need green steel, so they will need green hydrogen as well. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's stay in touch. And if after the webinar you have any questions, please always contact our office, or actually please contact Ms. Rumi Onodera. She's your expert. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schresser. Thank you also from my side that you are attending today. Yeah, my name is Luni Onodera. I'm Head of Innovation and Technology, and I will guide you through first the technical information, like setting the scene. Then we will start with the very, very interesting keynote speak from Dr. Akiteru Maruta. And we have a, I hope we will have some time, a long time also to do a really good Q&A session afterwards. Let's continue with our keynote speaker today, Mr. Dr. Akiteru Maruta. He's from the company Technova, which is the think tank of based in Tokyo, focusing on energy and mobility and sustainability, and they're really also like helping the Japanese government and also the local municipalities and industries for the promotion of hydrogen technology. So it's not an easy topic for this many parties, and Maruta is our expert for the hydrogen policy, but also many other insights about hydrogen in Japan. He was already our curator for this learning journey we had 3 years ago, and yes, he is helping us a lot with our events. And there's also a very interesting party during the Fuel Cell Expo in Japan. There is the FC Beer Party, which is also organized by Mr. Maruta.
Thank you very much for introducing me, and also thank you very much for having me in this webinar. So my name is Akiteru Maruta, Technova. I am actually policy analyst and also the technology consultant working for the hydrogen and the fuel cell field for more than 20 years, actually 24 years. So I'm currently helping the Japanese industry and the Japanese government, and also the Australian embassy too. So let me start. So today I'd like to talk about Japanese strategy, and especially focus on the policy. And also, so I'd like to talk about the Japanese hydrogen supply chain. And we have several national hydrogen projects, Part 2 gas project. So I'm going to pick up 2 projects today. And shortly, I try to mention about the hydrogen stations and the vehicles. And lastly, I try to introduce the interesting activities in Japanese industry. Yes, these are actually the hydrogen strategy and the hydrogen roadmap of the world. So if you see your left-hand side, it's starting from Japan. Back into the 2017, Japan was the first one to announce the national hydrogen strategy, followed by France, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia. Then 2020 is a really remarkable year with a lot of hydrogen strategies and roadmaps coming up. So the EU is the one, Germany is the one, and so 2020 is really a remarkable year. Then 2021 and 2020, more and more countries announced the hydrogen strategy and roadmap. And of course, Austria announced its roadmap in 2022. Most recently, this year, 2023, India announced the green hydrogen strategy, and the USA also announced the final version of the strategy. And Japan, we updated the hydrogen strategy. I'm going to mention about later. And the most recent one is actually Argentina. So they announced the strategy in the last September. But as you can see, more and more countries are preparing for the hydrogen strategy and the roadmap today. And so in Europe, Switzerland and Estonia and Lithuania and Romania and other countries are also going to announce the hydrogen strategy. So which means, so I would say most of the countries, most of the industrial countries are now going to already announced or are going to announce the hydrogen strategy. Next, please. Next slide, please. So, many countries has announced for its commitment towards the net zero by sometimes by 2045, 2050. Japan, actually, for Japan, we have a commitment for the carbon neutral by 2050. Other countries like China, it's committed to by the 2060, India for the 2070s, but most of the countries, industrial countries, are announcing such carbon neutral net zero commitment. That's in the left-hand side. Right-hand side is a country map of which has already announced or going to announce the hydrogen strategy. So if you compare both maps, now you can understand most of the countries with net zero commitment definitely going to announce, already has announced the hydrogen strategy, which means, of course, some countries, we see some differences like Russia and country in Africa. But anyway, if you're going to achieve net zero, you definitely need hydrogen. That is the key. Next slide. So now Japan's policy for the hydrogen. And as I said, Japan already committed to the net zero by 2050. It was 3 years ago. At that time, our Prime Minister announced our commitment towards the carbon neutral by 2050. Then after that, the government tried to have the new policy to achieve the net zero by 2050. One of the policy is the green growth strategy. Could you go to the next slide? If you go to, this is, I took the picture from the green growth strategy, which is announced in the December 2020. And if you click, could you click once? Okay. But anyway, yes, this I just magnified some of the important portion of this picture. Of course, this picture is only in Japanese, so I put the English explanation. So top left, it says the hydrogen is a key technology for the power generation, industry, and mobility. Definitely, hydrogen is the important part of the decarbonized world, decarbonized nation. And below, there are several technologies to produce hydrogen, also to carry the hydrogen. Electrolyzers and offshore wind and CCS technologies. And some of the hydrogen is used for steel making, and some are used for the power generation to produce power again. And in the bottom, there are several applications to use especially focus on the mobility. We have the fuel cell vehicles, like Mirai and fuel cell buses, trucks, and trains. On the right-hand side, there are several other applications using the hydrogen. Methanation is one, and we can produce also the biofuels. If you combine with the DAC technology, of course, we can produce e-fuels with a very low carbon intensity. That's something. So hydrogen is a kind of the key element to achieve the net zero society, industrial society. So this is a little bit a noisy table. Actually, this is a kind of our target toward 2030 and 2025, 2050. So these numbers are originally announced in our original hydrogen strategy announced in December 2017. First line is the cost. So everybody interested in the affordable, low-cost hydrogen. Japan also have the target. Like by 2030, we try to achieve the 30 yen per normal cubic meters, which is almost equal to the €2 per kilogram. Our 2050 target is 20 yen per normal cubic meters, which is almost the same as 1.4 euro per kilogram. And the hydrogen demand, and by 2030, we try to achieve the 3 million ton per year. Remember, we already have a hydrogen demand of the 2 million ton per year today. So which means so we're going to have another 1 million ton additionally. Among 1 million ton, so half will be, we think half will be in the form of the ammonia, and half will be a form of the hydrogen. I think this kind of the combination is very typical for the countries try to using the hydrogen, which is almost the same as the European countries. And our target for 2050 is 20 million ton per year. And a large amount of the hydrogen will be used for power generation and heavy-duty vehicles and also steel making. So in the bottom, we are working for the hydrogen supply chain development. So later I'm going to explain about this, but Japan is really focused on the international hydrogen supply chain using the LOHC and liquid hydrogen. So if you go to the next page. Yes. As I said, we just recently announced the updated version of the hydrogen strategy. This is announced in the June 2023 this year. So new thing is that we added our new target for 2040. We don't have the cost target for 2040. Instead, we have the hydrogen demand target. So now we have the 12 million tons per year. That's our new target. Another new target is in the middle, you can see our electrolyzer sales target. IEA, International Energy Agency, they said by 2030, world electrolyzer market will be 134 gigawatt. So Japanese government say we're going to take 1/10 of the world market. So which means so Japanese electrolyzer sales target is 15 gigawatt. These are the kind of the new target which included in the updated version of the hydrogen strategy of Japan. Could you go to the next page? This is also a busy slide. So every year, Japanese government organizes the hydrogen energy ministerial meetings. Simply say HEM. So this September, also Japan organized the Henne in Tokyo. And there are several important messages here. So first, we say we're going to have the first line. We're going to have the hydrogen demand by 150 million tons by 2030. That's a worldwide target. And among them, 90 million tons will be a renewable or low carbon hydrogen, which is a clean hydrogen. So that means, so by 2030, large amount of the hydrogen will be really a clean hydrogen, either renewables or low carbon hydrogen. And the second bullet, you can see the number for our target for the jobs. Job is of course important. So by 2030, we're going to have the 800,000 new jobs for the hydrogen. So which go to lead to the hydrogen society. Hydrogen is a really becoming a really leading industry. But if you see the bottom last line, so we should not forget about developing countries. So our world should really focus on the investment or investment mechanism to support developing countries' energy transitions, also which includes the hydrogen. Now, a little bit talking about hydrogen and the supply chain. I took this from the IEA's energy outlook. So this is the IEA's forecast for the hydrogen balance in 2050. So first line is China. China sees in China also demand and production is almost balanced. United States, it's also their production and demand is balanced. Maybe it is also same for the European Union. But if you go see the Japan and Canada, and especially for the Japan, so we definitely need the demand really exceed the production, which means that we have to import. So the potential exporter is, as you can see, the Australia or Middle East. This is also same for the Korea. The food demand is really exceeding the production, which means that we need transportation measures or hydrogen carrier technology. Therefore, we are working for the several hydrogen carrier technology. One is liquid hydrogen, blue. Another one is organic hydride, LOHC in green, or maybe ammonia. So I think this is really typical for the most of the countries. Yes, first talking about LOHC, we have the company named Chiyoda. Currently, they are very much active in Europe to promote their LOHC technology. So Chiyoda, they already made had a demonstration project for LOHC. They produce the hydrogen from natural gas in Brunei. Then it converted to the LOHC and it's imported to Japan. And this is kind of the recycling technology. LOHC is always going around. So they already tested for hydrogenation and dehydrogenation and this kind of round trip. So the technology is proven, and they are currently promoting this technology to the world, including Europe. Another one is liquid hydrogen. Now, many of you know that Japan developed the world first hydrogen carrier ship, Swiss Frontier. So currently, this is under the demonstration stage, and we develop the hydrogen receiving port, importing port in the city of Kobe. It's very close to Osaka. And you can see the big facility in the right-hand side. this is a receiving terminal as well as a big liquid hydrogen tank. And the hydrogen carrier ship already made several round trips to the Australia, and they successfully carried the liquid hydrogen and to bring it to Japan. And this is I'm going to show the one of the interesting website. This is a marine traffic website. You can actually follow the each vessels in the on the world market. So it's a really busy slide, but now you can see the many ships and cargoes are really moving around the world. Then, of course, if you go to this website and you can search the hydrogen frontier at the vessels menu, well, then you can see, and you can see the actually this hydrogen where you can locate where the such hydrogen frontier is currently moving or currently docked. So this is the example. So if you're going to search the hydrogen frontier in this web page, you can get more information about this Swiss frontier. So it is just a short description of the hydrogen, hydrogen carrier ship, Swiss frontier. I took this picture image yesterday, and currently this Swiss frontier is in our Osaka Bay. Now, right-hand side, you see the mark Osaka, city of the Osaka, and you see the Osaka Bay. Now, our hydrogen Swiss frontier is very close to the Osaka Bay, close to our Kansai International Airport. So sometimes Swiss frontier is moving within the Japan, and sometimes going abroad. So recently, there is a hydrogen Swiss frontier made the voyage to the Middle East. And so they actually visited to the Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, and Oman. This is also the one part of the Japanese mission to this Middle East. So, but of course, the point is we may have some possibility to import hydrogen from the Middle East. In that case, of course, we need a big hydrogen carrier like Swiss frontier. So this is, of course, it's a big policy message, but actually this hydrogen ship, it can go to anywhere in the world. Now, another thing is about this liquid hydrogen. Of course, this is a liquid hydrogen carrier. And you may know, Japan is currently promoting the liquid hydrogen supply chain with Australia. Australia is definitely an exporting country. Japan is an importing country. But we have not, until recently, we have not really decided which port will be the importing port. Finally, we decided, these consortium led by NIDO and led by Kawasaki Heavy Industry, they decided city of Kawasaki will be the importing port, commercial importing port for the liquid hydrogen. Of course, city of the Kawasaki, port of the Kawasaki is very close to the big demand area, Tokyo. So this is quite reasonable. So now we're going to build a new liquid hydrogen receiving terminal in Kawasaki. Now, in that case, in the future, of course, definitely we have large ship. And the bottom, you can see the current Swiss frontier. It can carry the 90 tons of the hydrogen. Now you can see the big one, LH2. So this is, of course, it's a computer graphic image. Of course, just we have to make it. But the Japanese government decided or we're going to make it by 2028, around 2028, with using the National Green Innovation Fund. And this ship is actually 130 times bigger. So it's a real ship. So definitely we're going to build a real hydrogen supply chain. So now I'm going to explain about several Japanese projects. Many people interested in the power-to-gas project. And of course, Europe is really leading the power-to-gas project. And I know several projects in Australia. Japan, we have the two leading power-to-gas projects. One is the Fukushima project, and another one is the Yamanashi project. Both are actually using the photovoltaic for the hydrogen production. Yes, first one is the Fukushima. So we have currently two facilities in Fukushima area. One is in the bottom. So we first built this hydrogen production facility. We called it FH2R, Fukushima Hydrogen Energy Research Field. So you see, we have the 20 megawatt of photovoltaic with a 10 megawatt alkaline hydrogen electrolyzer. So now government try to increase this capacity up to the 80 megawatt. And upper picture shows a new facility we just developed 1 year ago. So using this hydrogen, government or NEDO is currently testing the refueling technology, especially for the heavy-duty vehicle refueling. So this is a new facility, and of course, today many people are very much interested in the heavy-duty vehicles for the hydrogen application. So in that case, we need more R&D development for the refueling. So that case, this facility is contribute to the R&D of the such heavy-duty vehicle refueling. Another leading project is in Yamanashi. This facility consists of the three parts. Three facilities. First facility is the Yamanashi power-to-gas facility. It is also using the photovoltaic of the 10 megawatt. And currently it has only 1.5 megawatt PEM electrolyzer. But now it's going to plan to have 8 megawatt going to increase the capacity up to the 8 megawatt, also PEM technology. And it also announced these are Japanese technology. But Manashi also announced that they're going to have the European technology. Actually, it's a Siemens. So in the future, we have the 8 megawatt PEM technology from a Japanese company and Hitachi Zosen, and another 8 megawatt PEM technology from Siemens. So in total, it's going to be the 16 megawatt. And so the bottom right, so also we have the Hydrogen Technical Center. It's really also dedicated for the hydrogen refueling technology for the hydrogen passenger vehicles. I think this was already established for the last for 5 or 6 years ago. So this contributes a lot. This facility contributed a lot to develop the refueling technology. Now, bottom left. So Yamanashi government established a new testing laboratory, NESLAB. This is an open laboratory, and I think there's 10 or more companies have space, room in this laboratory. So they can use a lot of hydrogen for testing and the hydrogen for the device testing. So Yamanashi government try to provide the hydrogen testing capability, facility to the Japanese companies. I think this is also open to the international foreign countries, also for including Europe. Shortly mentioned about the Japan's current situation for the hydrogen stations. We have the 176 hydrogen stations in Japan, and you see the picture, you see the map, and most of the region has at least one hydrogen stations. Several regions we have still missing, still doesn't have hydrogen stations. But in the coming years, all the region will be covered by such hydrogen refueling hydrogen station network. And actually, Japanese government has a target for the 1,000 hydrogen stations by 2030. I understand that people understand that this is really a big target. So I don't know we can achieve or not, but so the government has a high ambition to develop the hydrogen refueling network toward 2030. These are the example for the hydrogen vehicles, and of course this is a company Toyota. We already have the Toyota Mirai, and Toyota recently started to sell their stock to the outside customer. So actually you can buy the Toyota stock from Toyota. And they are also selling the hydrogen tank system. So if you're interested in, so they can also buy such hydrogen tank from the Toyota. So also Toyota is working for the several other technologies, mobilities, including trucks, bus, and marines, and railroad, and others. So yeah, of course, Toyota is really leading this mobility application of the hydrogen. This is Honda. And Honda actually suspended the production of the fuel cell vehicles, vehicle Clarity, but by the next year, they're going to have the new fuel cell vehicle in the market, which is jointly developed with General Motors in the United States. Still, they are also working for the hydrogen trucks and mobility fuel cell applications and the stationary fuel cells. The Honda is also very much still active in this field. Okay. Quickly, lastly, I'm going to show the 3 examples of the hydrogen applications of Japan. One example is High Tech. This is a very interesting company which has a technology to produce a hydrogen from the waste aluminum. And sometimes aluminum is, of course, used for the packaging, food packaging, and some such waste aluminum also available from the aluminum industry. They have a special technology, catalyst technology, and they can produce a hydrogen from the such waste aluminum. This company is awarded by Japanese government, and some of you who going to the COP28 next week, you can see their booth in the COP28 Japan booth. Another example of coffee, hydrogen roasted coffee. UCC is one of the leading coffee manufacturer, producer in Japan. And currently they are using the natural gas, CNG, for their roasting. But of course, it's emit a lot of CO2. They decided to use the hydrogen to reduce the footprint of the coffee. This coffee, so they made a special roasting machine, which is also capable to use hydrogen, CNG, and a mixture of the hydrogen and the CNG. And their coffee is already served for the G7 summit in Hiroshima this year, also the HEM, Hydrogen Energy Ministerial, and other international events. So they say, of course, that's a really sustainable low carbon coffee. Another interesting idea is the hydrogen for cooking. One of the innovators in Japan is try to develop a hydrogen cooker, hydrogen oven for the cooking. So it is currently a demonstration stage, but actually several units are already shipped to the restaurant in Japan. And some of us said it's because so of course it's going to be the low carbon intensity, and also your meat, your food can be really low carbon, and no, especially for talking about the cooking. So it should be a low carbon, low footprint cooking. But not only for this company, the Toyota and Rinnai, which is the major Japanese gas appliance manufacturer, are now very much interested in this kind of technology. So Toyota and other major companies are very much also interested in the hydrogen for cooking. So, and also starting from the vehicles, starting from the big ships, and they are coming. And we are now talking, we are also talking about coffees and food and some of the potato chips. Of course, in the material, we are using the aluminum, such a waste aluminum, we can convert it to the hydrogen. So I would say hydrogen is everywhere now. So hydrogen society is actually coming. So I take any questions now. Thank you very much.
Yes, actually, we have some questions here, so I will ask them here, and yes, you can try to answer. So the very first one is there are few words. Can you give some few words to certification of origin of hydrogen? So do you need some kind of certification where the hydrogen is coming from?
Yes, Japanese government is currently working for the hydrogen certification scheme, and this is more like not government led by this activity is led by Japanese Hydrogen Association. But internationally, IPH, International Partnership for the Hydrogen Fuel Cell and Hydrogen in Economy, IPH is working for the hydrogen certification system mechanism and its mutual recognition. Japan is also a member of the hydrogen IPH such activities. So Japan tried to work with the country like European countries, and especially for the Australia. And we are not really saying the blue and green. We just say low carbon or clean hydrogen, which most of for the meantime, of course, we're going to import a large amount of the liquid hydrogen, which comes from the Australia, which is also produced from the lignite, brown coal. Of course, we apply CCS technology, which means so we are very much interested in the certification system mechanism based on the carbon intensity, not color.
Okay, this was one of the questions as well. So he's asking us, how is green hydrogen defined in Japan? You also wrote blue. Can you give us a short explanation about this? I think in Europe, green or the colors are quite important for the people.
Okay. This is apparent. Japanese government said, and Japanese industry say, we will not say any colors. That's a concrete policy. So we just only focus on the carbon intensity. So which means that so we have the G7 summit in Hiroshima, and we have the summit communique announcement, and one of the message is we have to go with the carbon intensity, not the colors. Well, of course, I understand that Europe is also very much interested in the color color definition of the hydrogen. We understand. but at least talking about Japan, we are only interested in the carbon intensity-based certification system.
So I think the topic of this webinar is also this chicken and egg topic. So you can also say that Japan is also building up the logistics and trying to go more carbon neutral step by step afterwards, right?
That's very true. So definitely hydrogen have to contribute to the decarbonization of the society, Japanese government, Japanese country. And liquid hydrogen, you can see the big ship now. So imported hydrogen is the one solution to decarbonize the world, decarbonize Japan. And in that case, also, yes, that is very true. We are very much interested in the low carbon hydrogen. And that's why we are trying to build the international hydrogen supply chain, working with Australia and other countries. And we are really discussing how we guarantee such a low carbon, low footprint of the hydrogen. Yes, that's true. So hydrogen, definitely low carbon hydrogen contribute to the decarbonization of the Japanese country, Japan.
Okay, so now the next question is more about the transportation. So hydrogen has got the characteristic that the small molecules can even diffuse through steel. So
Yep.
how have you optimized the storage of hydrogen so that there are no or only small losses?
Well, there are several technologies, and if you are talking about liquid hydrogen, and of course, many people are concerned about boil off gas of the liquid hydrogen, and Kawasaki Heavy Industry already developed the very low boil off rate carbon storage technology with a low boil off rate. And if you, of course, from Australia to Japan, it takes 10 days or 15 days for international transportation. But according to the company, we only have a few percent of the hydrogen which will be lost from the vessels. Which means so large amount of, we have the very low level of the boil off gas. But other things is, of course, compressed hydrogen. We have Japanese company also developed a new steel, have a very tight for the compressed hydrogen. Or if you convert it to the LOHC, we don't have much worry about this. So it's also we have the not only Japan, the world have the innovation for the hydrogen storage technology. I know Europe is also working for the liquid hydrogen storage too.
Yeah. So one last question about the subsidies. So how's the Japanese government helping the stakeholders? Is there some subsidies or tax reductions or any kind of support from the Japanese government?
That is under discussion right now. So Europe and United States are really working for such a subsidy or a support mechanism of the hydrogen. And like Europe, for one example, Germany, they are working for the double auction system, H2 Global, to support the hydrogen cost. And UK is working for the difference for the also the UK also have the support mechanism. Japan is currently discussing how we support such hydrogen. Today is very much, of course, high cost hydrogen. Currently, we may follow the UK system. So we just compare the hydrogen production, hydrogen cost of the hydrogen produced from the fossil fuel, and such a kind of the benchmark. So we can support the difference between the, if I say, gray hydrogen and such a low carbon hydrogen. So we maybe have a similar support mechanism as UK.
Okay, one comment and still one question about the color and chicken and egg problem. So first, one comment is yes, the time of coloring of hydrogen is also passed in the EU, and so they were quite surprised about one slide where you have still one color inside. This was only one comment about it. I don't know which slide it was, but the other thing is, do you think the approach of Japan could also be for the EU a proper way to speed up the building up of the hydrogen infrastructure and consumer market, and also solve the chicken and egg problem? Because of in Austria, we always discussing who has to do things first instead of just doing it. So do you think the Japanese way is the right way for the European Union as well?
Interesting and difficult question, actually. And so if we're going only talking about Japan, so we are, for the last several years, we have been really focused on the passenger vehicles like Toyota Mirai. But everybody is now more interested in the large vehicles like heavy duty vehicles like trucks and buses. And so in now government try to shift such R&D money to the heavy duty vehicle applications. That's the number one. Of course, we are going to import hydrogen, but which means so always port is an important element for the hydrogen infrastructure. So Japan is Japan, especially for Japan. So port, like Kawasaki port, is the really key center for the hydrogen deployment. But it's also same for Europe. Europe, I know Europe is really promoting the hydrogen valley, and I know some in the Australia and neighboring countries. But that approach is very much interesting. Always region have the kind of the demonstration center to promote hydrogen. And Japan, for Japan, it's a port. But Europe, of course, so there's several new regions and cities are very much interested in the hydrogen deployment regionally. So European case, I think it's a hydrogen valley activity is a really the key element to move to the hydrogen society.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are through the whole questions, and we are end of our webinar as well. So the last words, Ms. Schösser, I will change the slides right now.
Thank you very much for joining in, and above all, thank you very much to our expert who in a short time, more or less, presented, at least for me, the entire opportunities and what's happening in Japan. Obviously, if our audience wants to know more, you want to get first-hand information, you want to see it for yourself, what's happening here, have a look at, I don't know, one of the plants to visit where the shipyard is, where the boat is docked, or where, because I was smiling when I heard the story about the coffee, because I was just in Yamanashi prefecture, that one which was mentioned very often in this presentation. And there was a conference, and I think 5 times a day I heard, and this is the special coffee which during production process is used hydrogen. So as our distinguished expert speaker said, you do something here in Tokyo and you stumble into hydrogen, and you don't have to look far to, I don't know, a ship traveling between Australia and Japan, or cars, just in your daily life. And now I'm outing myself. I've been here only for 2.5, 3 months, so whatever I see is new to me, but that Japan is on the way to becoming a hydrogen society, I even realized this within a few weeks and months here in Japan. Thanks for joining in, and I'm sure there will be a lot more questions which were not addressed in the Q&A session. So please do send us an email. The entire team of Advantage Austria's Außenwirtschaftscenter Tokyo, and above all, my colleague Rumi Onodera, who has been working on the topic on the industry hydrogen for a long time. We are eagerly waiting for your further requests and information, and hopefully next year we will meet each other at a hydrogen-focused event here in Japan.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.